Jeff Davis is an experienced Toastmaster. He also speaks to schools and service organizations. Have you ever hesitated to take a risk before? In this inspiring speech, Jeff will share the story of how he went from a bad job to competing in the Toastmasters International Speech Contest. By the end of his speech, you will feel ready to take a risk towards achieving your dreams. Please help me welcome Jeff Davis.
3 years ago, 3 short years ago, it feels like a lifetime ago, I was in a nightmare of a job. I was completely miserable. Raise your hand if you've ever had a bad job before in your life. Raise your hand if you're in a bad job right now. Yes, I can definitely relate to that a lot. So here I am 3 years ago, and what made this so especially difficult is I had just wrapped up an $80,000 graduate school degree specifically to transition into a job and a career that I like doing. And when I ended up with this job that I absolutely didn't like, a career that wasn't for me, I felt like my entire life up until that point, and it's true, was dictated by external influences, what other people wanted me to study, what other people wanted me to do, and I never really followed my own intuition. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters and honored guests, it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me today. And the following speech is something that I experienced. It is my story. But when you leave here today, I don't want you remembering the story. I want you to take the lessons from the story and apply them in your life. So think about what lesson resonates you from this story, and then apply one of those lessons in your life. That's the goal here today. I know when I'm listening to a speaker, I resonate with people who share their own stories, so that's why I've decided to do that today. So I mentioned already, I'm in this really, really bad job. I can't stand, I'm miserable, and a lot of frustration is built up. And I had this intuitive feeling to join Toastmasters. Greatest Stanford Toastmasters in Connecticut. And I was a member of Toastmasters in Maryland, Parkville 300, for a number of years, for 3 years, so I did have experience. And here's the thing to remember, when I was going to graduate school, working at the same time, I spent all of my money on either tuition, rent, or food. And I had to borrow money from my mom or dad to get to work. It wasn't 2 weeks until I was going to get my first paycheck. And I had $20 left in my wallet. I remember vividly $20. I don't even know where that $20 came from. And I specifically remember this thought, and this amazes me. This is where the serendipity gets us to step back and be like, whoa, what really happened here? The VP of membership was a very genuine guy, and I'm talking to him, and we're sitting down, and I remember thinking to myself, if he says pay me $40, I will not join the club. I thought that. If he says pay me $40, it just wasn't meant to be. I didn't tell him I only had $20 left in my wallet. So he looked into it, and because I was a member of the Maryland Toastmasters already, he said, Jeff, $20. And I pay him $20. And that's amazing. If he said $40, I would have never joined the club. So now I'm ready to compete. The contest is only a week and a half away, and several club members, they were supportive of me joining, but they said, Jeff, you're new to the club, we don't suggest you compete. And then on top of that, they said, you're going against 2 paid professional speakers, and the third person you're competing against is a 4-time best-selling author, a TEDx speaker, and he wrote the book, How to Win the World Championship of Public Speaking, with direct access to all of the former world champions of public speaking. And they said, Jeff, you really just don't stand a chance. And I went into that club contest, no one knew me, and no one, I mean literally no one at that club thought it would even be close. And I used all the frustration from the job and from my life up until that point being dictated by external influences, and I lit the room on fire. I talked about how I went through all these rejections and eventually found a publisher for my first book. And the message for the audience was that every no is one step closer to your yes, and every rejection is actually a step closer to your goal. So I lit the room on fire. So now comes the area contest, and I just had the worst day, one of the worst days of my life at work. I told you I didn't like the job. And I was so upset, and I was so just frustrated with all of life, and I was holding it, and I said, I don't care anymore. I don't care about the contest. Whoever I'm competing against is meant to go ahead, not me. And I was that close to not even showing up. And I just got this one little bit of intuition right before I left work that said, just show up, say hello to a few club members, tell them, I'm sorry guys, I'm not prepared. And shortly before I left work, the button actually popped off my pants. And just one of those days where everything went wrong. And it was really embarrassing. I had to tuck in my pants and put my shirt over my pants so no one would notice. So I go to the area contest and talk about serendipity. I am certain, because I was that negative and no preparation and I was that frustrated, if there was another competitor, I wouldn't have won that day. I show up, the competitor who I was supposed to face couldn't make it. He had some car troubles. So I'm competing against myself, and I'm negative and I have bad energy, and it was one of the worst speeches I've ever given, but I showed up. And that's another big lesson I want to leave you here with today. A huge part of success is just showing up. And truly, from the bottom of my heart, I'm saying this sincerely, all of you, each and every one of you, are here right now in this moment. Foxborough Toastmasters, Achievers Toastmasters here in Massachusetts, and there are a lot of people in the world who would not spend their time doing something like this, personal development, improving themselves. So you are one of the elite few just to be here, and that tells me that you are someone who does show up. Now, this next part is also pretty interesting. I had a friend who was in the Greater Stanford Toastmasters Club, and we went out together to a pub after the area level. I just needed someone to vent to. And it turns out he's from Great Britain. He's from England, where my friend Stuart is originally from. And he is a nice guy, he is, and he didn't mean to be rude, but he said, Jeff, I just have to tell you, you might as well just throw it in now. You have no chance of winning the division level. Now, he didn't know I had all this experience from Toastmasters in Maryland, so I knew in my head I could improve and maybe be possibly competitive at division. And he said, Jeff, you truly just don't stand a chance. It gets a lot harder at division. And I used that as fuel to the fire, as added motivation to really prepare. So I started practicing, I completely changed parts of the speech, I really took it seriously. Showed up at division level in a suit and a tie, ready to go, and I nailed it, which was awesome. And it was actually pretty funny. There was a guy there who was very humorous, and I thought for sure I wasn't going to win. He had everyone laughing. My style was more to hit people with truths. That's just my style as a speaker, and I mix in a little bit of humor. And this guy had everyone laughing. I'm like, no way did I win. And I ended up winning, and they told me it was because the message hit home so hard, which I love. So another core message is be you, even when other people are telling you to be somebody else. People always tell me, Jeff, you need to be more humorous as a speaker. Yes, I'm still a little bit humorous, but that's not me. So be true to yourself when you're speaking, when you're living your life, regardless of what other people tell you to do. So I go to the district contest now, and get this. So my friend from Great Britain, from England, he was converted over now. He said, okay, Jeff, you might win district maybe. But there was a club officer, and not just a club officer, but he was a district elected official. District elected official, District 53, won't name his name. And he said that I didn't stand a chance at the district contest. This is the theme now of this competition. I mean, a district officer, come on, that's a little much. They're supposed to support you and encourage you. And what he was saying was that some of the people who I was competing against had already won a district before. They went on to the semifinals. They did really well. And he said, Jeff, you really just don't stand a chance at all. So at that point, I'm locked in. I'm ready to go. And I'm speaker 7 of 7. I just took all of this frustration I had, but I funneled it to something better. So that's a core lesson that I'm sharing. When you have the anger or the frustration, the disappointment, maybe even resentment from something that happened unexpectedly, if you funnel that into something better, it will lead you to great things. Rather than let that negative force be destructive, I funneled it into proving people wrong. And I got up and I crushed it. I was in the zone, and I was so passionate, and I was riled up, and people were looking at me like, who is this guy? And they never even saw me before in their lives. And I won first place at the district, which was fantastic. So now I go to the semifinals in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. And now I'm competing against Kat's boyfriend, Stuart Pink. And that's where the journey ends. If you compete against Stuart, you are screwed. But you know what? At least I got to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. At least I got to the semifinals. And that's what's amazing, is I'm here because I met Stuart in Malaysia. And now I know Kat, and that's why I'm here. And get this, on the way home, in the airport, I met this girl from Holland who was just traveling, and she's amazing, so genuine. So we stayed in touch for a year, messaging like once a week or so. And then I visited her, she visited me, and now we've gone back and forth visiting one another for a whole year. And we're now boyfriend, girlfriend, and no exaggeration, she is the sweetest girl I have ever met. And they have both met her as well, Kira. And I met her in the airport in Malaysia. It's a fluke. Ladies and gentlemen, here's my message for you guys here today. It is an absolute fluke that I have this great girlfriend. It's a fluke that I'm standing right here in this moment that I met Stuart in Malaysia. I had $20 in my wallet. He said, "You are out of your mind if you join Toastmasters with the final $20 you have." My friends said, "You're crazy to do that." Other people I was talking to said, "Jeff, you might want to rethink that. Get some food, put some gas in your car." I joined Toastmasters, finally get the paycheck work, I compete through and proved all those people wrong. Here's the message for you. Take the risk. Take the risk to do what you want to do. It's worth it. You never know what can happen. You truly never know. When people give you negative feedback, use it as added motivation. Stay even keeled when you are dealing with people who might be pushing you down, who might not believe in you. And remember that even when you're experiencing that dysfunction, you can use that to get you to that next level. Use visualization to imagine yourself achieving or doing what you want. Visualization is very powerful. I used that tactic and technique just before I competed in the contest. It worked in the district level. It doesn't guarantee an outcome, but it does, of course, improve the likelihood that that outcome will happen. When you're competing against stewards, visualization doesn't work. But other than competing against stewards, it does work very well, and that was a fantastic experience. And ironically, at the semifinal level, everyone was friendly. So that was just my experience. Everyone else's could be different. I found it ironic that I got a lot of negativity up till district. I got to semifinals and everyone was friendly. Final message that I want to leave with you here today is to define your own version of success. That is the core message in this book I recently published, which is called Reach Your Mountaintop. And I didn't want other people to struggle like I did and just get to what they want on a fluke. I wanted to show people how you define your own version of success, get to where you want to be, and actually move through those external expectations while still remaining respectful to others. So if I have one tip, encouragement, homework exercise, please, if you get the chance, 98% of people don't do it, define your own version of success. It may not include the money, it may not include what society tells you success means. Take time to write it down in your journal. It's been a pleasure being here. Take that risk. I absolutely believe in you. You are awesome. Definitely enjoyed this a lot, and I will see you, my friends, at the mountaintop.
See, isn't he fantastic? Thank you so much for making the journey.